As I travel around the country and teach martial arts seminars and have had thousands of students over the last 35 years, when I talk to people, I'm like, what are you looking for out of the martial arts? What are you looking to gain here? And because first I want to make sure that I can actually fulfill their goals, right? So if they came to me and said, I want to be the next UFC champion, I'd be like, well, that's not really what I do. That's not my wheelhouse. Here are some names that you should go talk to. But as I examine that, I talk to a lot of people, and universally, everybody says self-defense. Now, they'll have a lot of other things they want to do. They want to lose a few pounds. They want to get some more confidence. They want to meet some new people. They are excited about the culture. They've always wanted to do martial arts, that kind of thing. But self-defense is kind of a universal. So if we look at self-defense and we look at the martial arts that are out there these days, and we try and put those two together, do they really mesh, right? So, for example, let's take a look at what really happens out on the street. The majority of assaults happen with weapons. There's a lot of people who get stabbed to death. There's a lot of people who get shot. There's a lot of people who get beat to death with some blunt instrument or some improvised weapon that someone picked up. So when I talk to people and they say, I want to do self-defense, I'm like, okay, great. What martial art do you study? They say, well, I study Taekwondo. I'm like, well, that doesn't really address the realities. There are people, we can talk about just average scuffles, some fist fights, things like that, things that you don't really need a lot of training to be able to probably survive. You might, get a black eye or a bloody lip. That's not really the kind of confrontation that I'm thinking that we need to deal with. The things that I think we should deal with are the things that really could have a tremendous impact on your life, meaning leave you permanently injured or maybe even dead, or somebody close to you, a family member or a team member. So when you really look at what is really going on out in the real world, does your training mimic that? And if you're not training in a weapons-based system, then I would say no. Now, I'm not saying that that's all you should train. I think that you should punch and kick and elbow and knee and throw and get people on the ground and learn how to do some basic ground and pound and some basic submissions, or I don't really think of submissions as effective, but learn how to break people and choke people out. I think that's all part of the paradigm. But you can't ignore weaponry, right? Weaponry has to be a realistic, effective training module in your martial arts training. So you have to consider and take and put into your program something that based on edged weapons, right? Slashing instruments, thrusting instruments. You have to have impact tools, right? Baseball bats, tire tools, hammers, pipe wrenches. And you have to have firearms, right? So now if you're going to learn how to do weaponry, it really helps if you know both sides of the coin. Unless you know how the tool works, unless you know what it's capable of, then it's very difficult for you to be able to counter it. So people think, well, I'll just grab that knife. But if they don't know how fast and how deceptive the knife can be, they are never going to touch that arm. It'll just jackhammer into their chest 3 or 4 times before they realize this was a bad plan. So if you don't have any idea what a pipe wrench will do, if you don't have any idea what a flathead screwdriver will do, if you don't have any idea what a tire tool will do, or a crowbar, if you've never picked those things up and used them yourself, then you don't really have an idea of how to even defend against them. So to have a realistic system for martial arts that's based on in reality, your self-defense system has to take into consideration a martial arts that's based on weapons.